Hello and welcome to Low Code Cafe for Wednesday, June 5th, 2024. This is episode 163. I'm Patrick Anderson, and I'm usually on the cafe, lurking in the background, waiting to assist Dale. But we occasionally give Dale a little bit of time for R&R, and that's where he is this week. So I'm going to be your primary presenter today. Today we're going to take a look at entity relationship best practices. So things you can do with entities in Plant and App that will first how to choose the relationship you're going to use, and then things you can do to enhance the relationship that you do choose. So the Low Code Cafe is a bi-weekly event that we do Wednesday at 10 a.m. every 2 weeks. We give updates about the product, do demos, and do some hands-on coding. And we share stories and tips from our team and the community. We encourage guest speakers, and if you have a story that you'd like to share with the Plant and App community, we would love for you to be our guest speaker. We record all the episodes, and just to make sure we are recording, yes, we are recording this episode, and we post them on YouTube after the episode is over. And I just realized I wasn't sharing my video, so I wanted to make sure I did that. And you can, we encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can scan this QR code here to do so. It's youtube.com/plantanapp, and that way you get updates when we post a new video. So today we have a pretty simple agenda. I'm going to do the regular from the trenches section, and then I'm going to get into the hands-on low coding section, where we're going to look at entity relationships. Engage with me by using your chat window, the Q&A, raise your hand, and I'll send some links out in just a minute and one of those links will be for a feedback form. We'd appreciate your feedback on the event. So as I've said already, the Low Code Cafe is presented bi-weekly, and the next webinar is scheduled for June 18th. So from the trenches, first of all, we have some additional hotfixes to version 1.25, and I'm going to talk about them in just a second. Previously, we released 100 hotfixes to 1.25, so we've been at 125 for a while now, so consequently, we have quite a few hotfixes for 125. We've released 12 new ones, but they all have the same topic, and I'll talk about that first in just a second. When you look at the hotfix notes, we encourage you to look for this note here that says requires app builder hotfix 125.164. If you're installing a hotfix that says that, then you need to make sure that first you update app builder to 1.25.164 and then update the hotfix that has this note on it. Additionally, the newest hotfixes are going to say recommended to be installed along with app builder 1.25.241. And now I'm going to just talk about that for a second. So all 12 of the hotfixes that have been released are specifically about improving the upgrade experience. And what we hope this will do is upgrades will be more stable by decreasing the potential for missed deployment of DLLs and missed migration scripts, which are some things that some people have experienced during updates in the past. So this is a stability release, these 12 hotfixes, and hopefully will improve the process of upgrading to 1.26 when you get there. Okay, so I wanted to talk quickly about a suggestion that I had from the community about a topic that we could cover here. It doesn't fit specifically into the idea of entity relationships, but it fits into our overall topic of entities. And so the question was about entity names and property names, and whether spaces should be or can be or should be used in them. And we really encourage you to use spaces in Plant and App entity names and properties. So the table that gets created will automatically remove spaces and other special characters from that the text that you provide for the for the entity name or the property name, so you don't have to worry about using brackets around your table names when you do custom SQL, because we will remove the Planted App will remove the extra spaces and stuff like that in the table names. But the reason we encourage you to use spaces because the entity name and property names are used in the UI. That's created for you, and it's much more user-friendly to have the spaces. That makes everything more readable. So absolutely, you should use spaces. So other conventions, make sure you're descriptive so that everyone understands what the entity or property is about. Try to avoid using known SQL function or function names or other reserved words. An example is user. I've created a property before called user, and when you create SQL using that, you have to put user in brackets because user is a SQL function. So that's just an example of the kinds of things that you can come into that you could experience if you use any of these SQL words. So wrap your table name in brackets if you do. And real quick, I wanted to show you that the details about this are documented here. So at learn.plantednapp.com, we have our entity documentation here, and we talk about entity general settings, and specifically in the name setting, it specifically states that that spaces and special characters were removed for the SQL table name, and the same goes for the for property names as well. Okay, so I wanted to real quick show you a little example of something. We get questions somewhat regularly about cloning functionality for records, and I wanted to show you a pattern that I follow on a regular basis that's really simple to implement, and I hope it helps people when they talk about that, when they say they want to clone records in Planted App. And if you're using the Planted App standard entity page, it's a really simple thing to do. So I wanted to share that with you. So navigating back here, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to create a cloning process for support cases. So I'm going to first go into my support case form and do a few things there to make sure I have my correct. All right, so the first thing I want to do is go to events, and in events, I'm going to, on this side, so every Planted App standard entity page has a form where you create the items that are added to the entity. And this first action here that establishes tokens in the initialization of the form for use during the form events is always there. And I'm going to add here a new token called is clone, and I'm going to leave that the value for that blank. And then here I'm going to add another action. I'm going to use the create update tokens action. You'll notice here that this is the inject data action, which of course is obsolete. Its replacement is create update tokens. It does essentially the same thing, but it has a little bit more functionality. So we always prefer it, and eventually the inject data action will be removed. So I want to establish here, so just to talk about the lifecycle here, we have in this action here, we've checked to see if there's a support case ID, we're setting isEdit to true. And then if isEdit is true, we're running the read support case to get the details of the support case that we're editing. What we're going to do for clone is we're going to pass in a case ID, and we're going to let all this happen. So we're going to set isEdit to true, and we're going to read the support case and get the data from the support case. But then right after that, we're going to say, we're going to reestablish the isEdit token, and we're going to say that it's false. And additionally, there's a token here called pop-up title, and we're going to take that and just change that title so that it's clear what you're doing, and say that we're cloning a support case. Okay, so, and then I'm going to, this actually will come into use more later, but I'm going to put the isClone token that I just established here, and I'm going to set that to true. Okay, and we're going to save that like that with those changes in place. And so we're looking for a, oh, I forgot my condition for that. So one thing I need to do here, back on the events, is go here, and the condition for this to run is going to be the query string clone. So if this value is true, then we're going to run this. All right, once again, save, close that, and then I'm going to go to my listing and go here to the buttons and add a button here. I'm going to make it blank, the title blank, and just call the button clone. Going to scroll down and find the copy icon to use as just to be consistent with the UI that we already have established. And and actually, I'm not going to search for the open. I'm going to go to edit, and I'm going to take this action that already exists, and I'm going to export it, copy that code, close it, and then scroll down to here and import that same action that we're using on the edit button. Import. So now I'm passing in the support case ID, and I'm making sure the form is reinitialized. The same form is being called, and I'm going to add here the query string that we want to pass when it's a clone, and I'm going to say clone is true. And that is it. So I'm going to refresh the page. And so now I have a clone button over here. And so I'm going to say, I want to clone this one here, click clone. And notice that the form opens up like an edit form. It has the details of that case that I click clone, but instead of having a update button here, we have an add button. So now I can, change the title. I'm going to change the contact and click add. And so now I took that existing case, cloned it, and now I have a new one that has just some slight changes here. So I wanted to share that with you. It's a very simple way of getting a clone in place. I have something that, if time permitting, I want to add to this. I want to expand this functionality a little bit, but let's see if we get there. I think I need to pick up the pace if we're going to. So going back to our presentation, and that's why I said come back to this at the end, time permitting. So just to wrap up the from the trenches section, please engage in Campfire. That's another call that we have. Campfire happens weekly, Friday at the same hour as this call, 10 a.m. And it's a gathering of people who use Plantain app. And it's much more of a casual, free-flowing type of atmosphere where you just bring something that you want help with or an idea that you want to share. And we encourage everyone to share there. And so the links for this episode, I'm going to just copy these real quick. Oh. Go back for a second and escape from that. I don't think I have them on my clipboard, so I'm just going to escape real quick and copy these and send them out to you. And just notice that the link I shared earlier for the documentation about entities is there, and also standard entity assets, which is something that we'll talk about more as we move along here. Okay, so that we're moving along to the low coding section. So our topic is entity relationship best practices. So I hope that what you'll get out of this is you'll be able to distinguish between different types of entity relationships, understand when to use the entities versus list of entities setting when you're creating a property. And I'm going to demonstrate some techniques for customizing our automatically generated CRUD that we have. So real quick, I know that most of you are familiar with this, but I just feel that in this discussion, we need to touch on this. What are the types of relationships that we are going to deal with in a database? So we have a one-to-one relationship where, and that's each record in one table is linked to exactly one record in another table. And in PlantNap, this is called a property of type entity. So this is just some additional information here. I'm not going to read through all that. But this is important here that we have a foreign key in one table referencing the primary key of the other table, and PlantSnap does this for you automatically. So the tables that are created have this foreign key and this primary key relationship. Okay, so then in a one-to-many relationship, we have a single record in one table associated with multiple records in another table. So in PAA, this is accomplished by adding, once again, a property of type entity. So the entity that gets the property should be the child. So so in other words, the one that's going to be related to multiple is the parent, but we're relating each of the children to the parent, and this avoids having that relationship table. So once again, we have a foreign key in the mini table referencing the primary key of the one table, and PlantNap automatically creates that relationship for you. In a many-to-many relationship, multiple records for one table are associated with multiple records in another table, and this, of course, requires a relationship table. In PlantNap, we do this by creating a property called list of entities, and this will automatically create the relationship table, and down here where it says requires a junction or a join table that contains foreign keys referencing, PlantSnap does this for you. So it creates the foreign keys that reference the other two tables in the junction table. So just a quick review of what we're looking at here. Now I want to get to the example system I'm using today is a real thing. So I am building something that eventually will be used for clients that participate in our technical success manager service. The system is still very much at the beginning of development. So I'm not going to be starting from a blank slate today, but you'll notice that it's not, it's not real built out yet, but the core of it is there, and what I'm going to be doing today is real things that need to happen in the system, and our demonstration will be examples of how to use PlantNap automatically generated CRUD, and just I'm using this term loosely here, but this is stands for create, read, update and delete. I'm sorry, I hedged there a little bit on the U. So I use that term, but that's so I'm sure everyone knows that, but I want to make sure I say that. So we're going to use these pages as in some cases use it with just a few adjustments, and in other cases we're going to use the pages as inspiration for what we want to accomplish. So first I'm going to look at the one-to-one relationship. So I'm going to go back to my system here, and I want to go to configuration and entities. And so I have an entity called support case, and I have an entity called status. So status, I'll take a look at that real quick, is just, it has a display name and a code. I'm going to talk about the code in just a second. But this is already in place. Now what I want to do is go to support case and edit support case and go to the properties, and I want to add a relationship to status. So I'm going to call it status and click on add property. And I'm going to go down to entities. So this is a one-to-one relationship. Each support case is going to have, at any given moment, one status. and I locate the status entity and select it. And I'm going to go, I'm just going to add a few options here to say that searchable and filterable. And I'm going to save that and override my entity pages. Wait for that to refresh there. Okay, we're all set. So now I'm going to navigate to the support case page. I'm going to take this shortcut right here that we provide on the entities page. And you'll notice now that I have an additional column here called status. So I'm going to first show you that under app admin, so some cases we call this setup. This is a good thing to have for any application you're creating. Is just a menu where you keep things like this that are pretty much static, but occasionally you need to add things to them. So I'm going to go to the statuses. I'm going to open that up in a new tab just so I can get back real quick. And you can see that I have these statuses set up already. I'll talk about this code thing in just a second, but going back here, I'm going to edit one of these and say that this one is currently, oops, I clicked on the wrong thing here, status. I didn't, I should have, in the entity builder, I could have moved this into place here, but the status at the bottom is fine. So I'm going to say that currently work is in progress on this one and update it, and I have that there. Okay, I'm not going to update all these, but I'll just do a couple more and update them. Ultimately, a lot of these statuses will be set automatically. They won't be set in the UI here, but I just wanted to show you that setup there. But going back for a second to this code, there's something that Dale and I have been talking about, and that's the problem of the magic ID. So sometimes you need to use the IDs in your logic. So if I have something that's currently in new status, and then it gets a or let's say it's in work in progress status, and it gets an update from a customer, or we put let's say it gets an update from a customer, and we want to, in that case, automatically change it to waiting for TSM. We'd have to know that the status ID that we want to use is 3. So what I've done here is an idea where we create a waiting. We create a code, and the code for waiting for TSM is waiting TSM, and I would use this code in a token that I create so that I don't always have to know that ID of 3. What this does is it does a few things. So one of the advantages of using an entity like this is that we can go and change these names anytime, and the actual data that's stored in each support case is this ID, but we can change this name. If we relied solely on that, it would really create complications if we wanted to change this name, because then we'd have to run a bunch of updates. But if we want to have we can't necessarily always remember each of these, especially if the name changes and we can't use them in code. But this code option here would remain consistent. So we could change this name, which is shown on the front end, but we could, this would always be consistent, so that in all of our coding, we use the token that gets the ID based on this code, and that way it doesn't change. So it's an idea that I wanted to share with you. Starting to run longer than I thought, so I was going to show you the creation of this token and putting it into practice. But if I have time at the end, I'll show that to you. But I wanted to just talk about that real quick. So going back to our presentation, that's a typical implementation of a one-to-one relationship. So our support case, each one has a status. So that's it. So now we're going to take a look at one-to-many relationships. So in this case, I'm going to take a look at a one-to-many relationship as a replacement for what you might at first think of as a list of entities. So each client in this system is going to have contacts, and our inclination in the system when we go here, and I say, okay, so my client is going to have multiple people and I want to make a list of contacts. Sometimes people have the inclination to go in here and edit this, go to properties and say that I want to have contacts for my client and then say that I want to do a list of contacts. So, but what this does is really unnecessarily creates a join table that we don't need necessarily, because what we really want to do is take these children contacts and associate them back to the client. And but in order for us to have that UI on the client page that says list of contacts, we have to do a little bit of work. So I'm going to show that to you, show that example to you. So I'm going to go back here and go to the contacts and edit contact, go to properties, and here I'm going to add, actually, I think I will call it company and add, and I'm going to go to entities and choose that client entity. So now this is going to be a one-to-one relationship. So each contact is going to be associated with a client. I'm going to save that like that and override the UI. Do a check-in on where I'm standing here. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the contact entity page. Bear with me just a second here while I get where I want to go. Okay. And so what I want to do here is I am going to utilize this listing and the form from this page on my client's page. So first in the form, actually the listing is what I want to do first. First in the listing. Now, when I add this to the other page, I'm not going to do a copy of it. I'm actually going to do a synced synced module, so that changes we make in the PlanSnap entity generator will automatically come over to this listing. So what I'm going to do is just make a slight edit to the data source. And I have this prepared already, and I'll talk about it. So I'm going to say that change the data source here, and I'm going to add a where clause. Now, what this where clause is going to do is that if I am on, if I don't have a client ID, so you see I have an if function here. If I'm going to add a parameter for a client ID here. Just go ahead and do that. If the client ID is blank or null, we're going to use the company value, and otherwise we'll use the client ID value. So this will say where clauses company equals company, which will return all of the records if the client ID is null. But if we do have a client ID, then we're going to return just the ones that have that client ID. So I'll show this to you in practice, but this is going to allow me to use this same module both on this contacts page and on the client's detail page. So that's the only change I'm going to make there. Save that like that. And then in the form, I want to make just a few changes. So in the, oh, I'm back in the listing again. In the form is where I want to go. On the events, go here, and yes. So I'm going to add a create update tokens here. And the condition on that is going to specifically look at whether or not a client ID is available. I'm using this string.isNull or white space. You'll see this used often in our automatically generated modules. So I just wanted to use it here as well. And then the tokens I'm going to create, or first of all, I'm going to create one called context. And then we're going to say the value is company. And then we're going to rewrite the original company to get client ID. Okay, so so that's been established, and so now I want to now I'm going to go to the fields, and on the company, I'm going to add a enable condition. So we're going to say that this field will be there and it will have a value in it, but it's only going to be enabled if the context does not equal company. So if we're on a company page, we're not going to allow the company to be changed for that contact. You'd actually have to go to the contacts page in order to change the company. All right, and so that is the only changes I'm going to make here. We're going to save that and close. We'll reload the page here just to make sure everything's still functioning. So it's actually not, because I should have, I think, some contacts here. What did I do wrong? Just check the contact listing here again. Client ID. Okay, I did that all the way I expected it to. Bear with me just a second. It's always nice when things in your when you're going live don't work the same way they did when you're prepping for them. And I think Bogdan's also here. So Bogdan, if you see something, please let me know too. Okay. So just double checking my inspiration here to make sure I didn't do something different. Everything looks correct. And I will reload this again. Oh, well, I will troubleshoot this. Hopefully it'll work when we get to the it's working. And so I'm just going to show real quick that in my inspiration environment that it is working as expected. So you can see that I have that where clause there. And if I reload the page, I'm getting my list of clients. So just wanted to show that it is actually in place and I'm not sure what I did differently. I'll drag that back over here. And now I'm going to go to the clients page and navigate to a detail page for the client. And so first, what I'm going to do here is add an existing module. And so I'm going to uncheck the make a copy and navigate to go to the clients. Contacts page and get the contacts listing. This is the one that I was just editing, and drop that down here. And I'm going to now edit the tabs module here. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and get the form too. So I'm going to add existing again. uncheck make a copy, and once again go back to that contacts page and get the form as well. And we're going to put that down there in the same place that we put the other one. And now I'm going to close the edit mode here, go to the tabs module, and create a new tab. And we'll call this contacts. And we're going to pull in that contacts listing that I just added to the page and save that. And reload it. So there we have it there now. And I just need to check to see, did I somehow lose my contact data? Maybe that's what's happening here.
No, it might be the issue you are having earlier with the token, with the where clause.
Yeah, no, I think it is. I just need to, I'm going to navigate back here and just see if I add something, if it shows up. So I'm going to, it should have, and we're going to say ABC, add. Okay, I guess actually maybe I lost my, I had some data in here, and I guess somehow I might have lost that data. So let me just add, so that was ABC. I'll add one for, and that's going to be, we'll add one for DEF, add. And now going back to my clients page and navigating to the detail page here, contacts. Okay, so it is working the way I expected it to. So I thought I had data in the system, but I guess I lost it. So there we go. This one is showing up here, and if I go back to my clients and go to the ABC one, I'm only seeing the contacts for ABC, and then on the clients page, on the contacts page itself, I'm seeing all. So it is working the way I expected it to. And so now, if I click on New, you can see that the changes that I made to the form are in place. So I'm seeing that I have a, and you saw me use this form on the contacts page itself just a minute ago, where I had a drop down here. I don't have that option. I'm just seeing ABC Inc. because I'm on the ABC Inc. page. And then likewise, if I edit, it's also doing the same thing. The nice thing about this approach that I've done here, now that I'm back on track, which I'm happy about, is that notice how I added the listing and the form to this page. I didn't have to reconnect them because the module IDs are the same. So everything is in place. I'm able to use this form. And if I make changes to the entity, they'll be reflected both on this detail page here for the client detail page and on the original contacts page. These changes will show up in both places, and the functionality will stay this way. So it's a nice approach. It doesn't work in every single situation, but in this situation, it works nicely. So I just want to remind anybody, if anybody has any questions about anything I'm doing, or feel free to jump into the chat or the Q&A functionality. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to our presentation and see what we have next. I've accomplished what I wanted to there. So, and I wanted to touch on one thing real quick here too, that one of the reasons why, instead of doing the list of contacts also, is that it makes it simple. It simplifies when you want to do custom queries in your data. It really simplifies that process because you have a direct relationship between the contact and the client instead of having a join table, which adds more complexity to your queries. So now I want to take a look at a one-to-many relationship as it works with PlantaNet standard UI. So this won't require any changes to our UI. This just works, and this is the scenario when you want that. One example is I'm going to add categories to my support cases. Categories, I don't want to have, if I have a category, I don't want to have multiple records of categories. I want to have one record that gets related to all the support cases that have that category. So in this case, I'm going to go back to configuration and go to my support case entity, go to properties, and this time I'm going to add a property called categories. And here I'm going to make it a list of categories. So I'll locate my categories entity under list of and save it like that. Override. And then, okay, that's done. So now going back to the front end, if I go to the support cases entity, you can see now that I now have a categories column here. And if I click on that, it takes me directly to the categories tab. And here I can begin adding categories. I have this existing option here, so I can say, I can start adding existing categories. Or I can add a new category here and just call it anything I want to say. And so now I have a new category that I've added. And if I then go back to support cases and navigate to another support case and click on add existing, I can easily add the category that I just created. So this is a use case for using the list of entities that, and in this case, this is just how PlantaNet works out of the box. There's no changes that need to happen here. I can add multiple categories here, or I can add new categories. In a lot of cases, if you find yourself like removing the add existing button, then it may mean that you should not have used a list of entities relationship in the first place. I'm not saying definitely, but if you find that, oh, I don't want this add existing button here, then it's possible that probably you should have done, you should have used just a regular entities relationship. So that's really the point I want to make here, is that this is the perfect example of when to use this, and nothing needs to change. All right, so going back to the presentation. Now we're going to look at many-to-many relationships, and I didn't leave myself as much time as I wanted to get through this, because this is the complex one. So here we want to have the ability for multiple parent records and multiple child records to be related back and forth. And in this case, in some ways you can say that there really isn't a parent-child. It's really a reciprocal relationship between them. So what I'm going to show real quick is creating a UI to support this kind of relationship, and I'm going to use existing PAA generated modules as inspiration, but I'm going to this time make copies. I'm not going to make them synced modules in this case. So first, I want to go. So we have, I already have this in place. So let me show you real quick. This relationship is already there. So if I go to support case and I edit it and go to properties, you can see that I have a property called activity log, and it's linked to a list of activities. So this relationship already exists. Going back to support cases, you can see I have the activity log tab here. Ultimately, in my application, both of these buttons are going to go away, because activity activities are going to be added programmatically in all cases, except, well, there is one exception to that, and I will show you that. I said that, and then I realized, well, that's my example. There is one exception to this, but on this here, where I'm in the context of a specific support case, all these will be added in other ways. So you will never come to this page and say you're going to add an activity here. But this will be my list. So now what I want to do is I'm going to navigate to okay, so I'm on the support cases. I'm going to go to activities here and go to a detail for an activity. And what I'm going to do is here add the ability to add support cases to an activity. Now, let me just explain my use case here, because it's not going to be all activities, but there's a specific kind of activity. I'll show you my activity types. This list will grow, but one activity type I have here is client scheduled meeting. So that's client.meeting. In the scheduled meetings and probably the ad hoc meetings, in these cases, what I want to do is I want to add support cases to this type of activity, and what that's going to ultimately become is the ability to create an agenda for that meeting. So I will have add the support cases to the activity, and then from that I'll create an agenda that will go through those support cases. So that's my use case for adding support cases to an activity. So going back to the activities, the first thing I want to do here is I'm going to put the page in edit mode, and I'm going to copy the listing from the support cases main page. So once again, add an existing module. I'm going to go to TSM and support cases, and I'm going to grab this listing here and just put it somewhere down below. Okay, I'll go ahead and make some edits to this. So I'm going to say that support cases listing, I'm going to edit that. And I'm going to edit the data source. And let me just find my inspiration page here. So I'm not going to stick with the standard entity data source. I'm going to switch to a SQL select. And in interest of time, I'm not going to show you the development of the SQL select, but I will explain it to you. So I'm going to paste that in here. And so I'm selecting from the support case table, everything from there. And I'm selecting the status display name and the case type name, that's not really concerning us right now, but I'm selecting all that, and then I'm joining to the support case activity log, and then I'm saying where activity ID equals the activity ID that I'm passing in. So this is going to be called activity, and that this value here has to equal that value there for this bind to work correctly. And then the parameter value is going to be get activity ID. So I'm getting that from right there. So we want to make sure that we're filtering the support cases for the specific activity ID. Just check my steps here that I want to go through. Okay, and just because I'm going to save that. Oh, wait, make sure that I put in my ID column and now save it. Now I could build out that SQL a little bit, and I didn't get a chance to do that, but because it's not built out, I'm going to remove these counts here. I could build it out and actually get these counts in place so I can see so I can keep this functionality. But for now, I'm just going to delete those two. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to delete them. No, it's okay. I'll go ahead and delete them and save it like that. And now we're going to reload. Okay, and so now I'm going to create a tab here and pull that into it. New tab. And we'll pull the support cases listing onto it. Save that. And reload the page. So now we have the support cases there. Now, interestingly, I wasn't expecting to see anything here yet. So once again, I have, let's see if I have, I shouldn't have any relationships in place already, I don't think. Oh yes, I do, that's right, because this is not, this is not totally new. So I do have some relationships in place. So if we go back to my, the support cases page, I'll just open that over here. And we can see that, so for case one, if I look over here and I see the activity log for it, you can see that it's associated with activity 1 and 2. So then going back over here, I'm activity ID 1, and I have support case 1. So these relationships are in place. I'm not seeing all the support cases, just the ones that are associated with this activity. Okay, so now I want to go and I'm going to copy from the just make sure I have my copy. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the support case detail. And this is, I'm just really here just getting a module that will kind of inspire what I need here. It doesn't, it does need changes, but I want to kind of follow the plant in that functionality. So here I'm going to get the add existing activity. Link existing activity log form. I need to grab that. That didn't do what I wanted to do there. Did it get added to the page? Edit. There it is. I'm going to drop that down here. Okay, and we're going to now go in and take a look at that. And we're going to start here. So I'm going to change the pop-up title so that it says add from existing support cases. And change this to activity. And I'm actually going to, these are not really necessary at this point, so I'm going to delete both of those and save that the way it is. Now I'm going to go into the fields, and this is going to be called support case. We'll call that support case. Now here, there's a little bit of things that need to change, but I want to use the same query because it works well. So I know that that needs to change to title. I know that this needs to be support case, and we're going to take this and we're going to keep that the way it is, and take this and we're going to put it over here. And then take this one and put it here. So basically I'm reversing this so that I get, I'm getting activities that are in, or I'm getting support cases that are in context of the activity that I'm in here. So I'm selecting the distinct support case ID as ID from the same table. So this, the table that that joins support case to the activity items, and but in this case, I'm getting the support case where activity ID equals, and here we want to change this to the correct query string value. And then basically, so I don't know if you looked at this before. The reason that this query is nice because it selects the correct values, but then filters them for ones that have already been added to the current. That's what, yeah. So this establishes the ones that have already been added. So that way we're not seeing them all. So once they get added, they're not there anymore. Okay, that's what I wanted to do there. And then one more step down here, and that is on the add button, I want to go to the add activity log to support case. And basically we want to get the, we want to basically reverse these. So I'm going to put this one up here and this one down here. And here we're looking at the query string activity ID. And here we're looking at support case. Okay, and then save that. And then in the listing, I just need to oh, I forgot one more thing on that form there. And that is I need to also make sure I'm updating the correct listing and the correct form. Save, reload that. And then here, I need to just adjust the, I need to basically create and add existing button here. So and that's going to call up the so now if everything works the way I intended it to, oh, I added it in the wrong place. Yeah, I was trying to get, I'm trying to wrap it up.
Yeah, it will work.
Yeah.
Probably. Oh.
Oh, I guess it didn't get the, I guess I need to, yeah, I forgot to add the, um, nope, I put the wrong thing here. Actually, well, I hope this works because it should have done it, I think, anyway, but maybe I forgot something in the form. Anyway, okay, I will troubleshoot that, but just real quick for an interest of moving along here, I will demo it in um, my existing environment. So go back here, and I'm going to go to the uh, activities, to a detail. I have support cases. I have the add existing support case. So if I click that, then I have a list of support cases that I can add, and I click add, and then they appear there. And then the one further step I would go is actually add the ability to create a new support case on this page, which is pretty straightforward. Except the only thing I do is I make it add it to the activity ID that's in context automatically. So that's the only change to the form one after I pull it onto the page. So that covers everything, just about everything I wanted to get through. Thank you for those who hung on and stayed with me here. Go back to the presentation here. I think we're past the hour here, so I won't hang on for a question and answer session, but I thank you very much for attending. And if you have questions for me, feel free to contact me after the webinar is over. And until next time, happy low coding, everyone.